Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in as I come to you from my recording studio, also known as my garage, complete with yard tools and little green men. Today, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of how to build a strong core and develop the right flexibility so that you can continue to exercise, stay fit and healthy, doing all that you want to do for the rest of your life without being limited by low back pain. My name is Jason Labarth, and I own Idaho Mobile Physical Therapy. I am the only mobile orthopedic physical therapist in the Treasure Valley. I come to you at your home or your office or anywhere else you would like to meet at a time that works for you and your schedule. I have specialized in orthopedics and sports rehab for about 20 years now. And I have worked with many seemingly fit and athletic people who even had six-pack abs and strong back extensors who still ended up with debilitating low back pain. A couple that stand out in my mind, I can remember a Marine who came in and he was just as muscle bound as could possibly be. He had big, broad shoulders and just huge arms and a relatively tiny waist. And he had the six pack and he could deadlift the weight of my car. But he ended up with back pain that was so bad he could hardly move. First day he came in, he was hunched over, leaning off to the side, kind of limping like this a bit, and he couldn't even straighten up. I can also remember another person, he was a smoke jumper. He was very fit. When he came in, I could tell by looking at him that he was probably a wrestler at one point in his life. I was also guessing he was probably an avid CrossFitter, and I was right on both accounts. He looked like he had just no body fat on him, and he was telling me about all these crazy workouts that he was doing on his own, even when he wasn't in the CrossFit gym. But he ended up with just disabling low back pain and one of the worst cases of sciatica I've ever seen. He had already had one back surgery, and he was trying to avoid a second. Now, we were successful. We were able to avoid having to have that second surgery, and we were able to get him back to work without restrictions. But he was a challenge. And where both these guys went wrong is that they worked towards six-pack abs, not core stability. And a lot of people don't really understand the difference between the two. Today, I'm going to tell you teach you how to isolate and strengthen those deep core stabilizer muscles that physically attach to and support the spine. Your six-pack abs don't do that. Another place where these guys went wrong was they had just no flexibility in their hips, very stiff hips, and that in and of itself can stress and damage your lower back. On the other side of the spectrum, I've seen people who were just starting an exercise program for the first time, wanting to lose weight, get a little fitter, feel a little better, and go to lift a 3 or 5 pound dumbbell off the rack, and their back seized and it fell to the ground and they couldn't hardly move because it hurt so bad. And I've seen this more than once. This wouldn't have happened if those deep core stabilizers were supporting the spine like they were supposed to. I actually want to start off today with a little challenge, a little competition. I'm going to ask you to video yourself or have somebody video you doing an exercise, and I'm going to ask you to send it to me. Please text it to me at the number that I'll put up on the screen here in just a couple minutes. Let me go ahead and pull up a good image here for you. So I'm going to ask you to do a side plank with hip abduction raises. Now, the winner of the contest, who gets me the video first, will get a prize, and the prize is a free 90-minute session with me. The first time that I see somebody, I spend an hour and a half doing a comprehensive evaluation and program planning and first treatment session. It's a $250 value. So if you can Get a video of you doing that side plank with those hip abduction raises and get it to me first. You will win that prize. So let's pull that picture back up here for you. So the key here is you got to keep the top hip forward. Don't let the top hip drop back so that you end up cheating using the hip flexor muscles. You got to keep the top hip forward so you end up using the glutes. So go ahead and see if you can do 10 or 20 or even more, and send that video to me at this number in red right here. So I'll go ahead and you can pause the video and go ahead and do that. Okay, great. So now I want to go through some fundamental exercises that you can do on your own at home, or you can even do as a warm-up before your workout. That will be very helpful in keeping your core strong and your back healthy for the long term. Step one is called the abdominal hollow. You, like some people, might find it to be frustratingly simple and question if it's actually doing anything. And the answer is yes, it's doing a lot. It's very beneficial, and it's very important. This is how you recruit your transverse abdominis muscle, which is one of those deep core stabilizers we were talking about. And in my opinion, it's the fundamental basis to it all. So let's go ahead and pull up a good image of that for you. So the way this works is I'm going to ask you to lay on your back, knees bent, feet on the floor. I'm going to ask you to suck your belly button in, draw your belly button towards your spine. But as you do that, make sure you keep breathing. Do not hold your breath. And with your belly button drawn in and maintaining your breathing, you're going to alternate, bringing your knees towards your chest, one at a time. And repeat for 10 on each side, or a total of 20 between the two. So please go ahead and pause the video and do that now. All right, so you cannot adequately address low back pain without talking about your hip flexor muscles. You also can't address core stability efficiently without talking about your hip flexor muscles. These muscles in the front of the hip that do that are located deep inside your abdomen, and they physically attach to your lumbar spine, the vertebrae in your lower back. This muscle runs vertically through the abdomen, down into the pelvis, and attaches at the top of your thigh. Now, when you sit for long periods at the computer at home, or at your desk at the office, these muscles get tight because they're constantly in a shortened position. Then if you go to get up and then go work out, that puts a lot of extra strain on your lower back, and that can do some damage and cause you a lot of pain. So it is crucial that you stretch your hip flexors daily. And one of my favorite ways to do that is with the basic half kneeling hip flexor stretch. So with one knee on the ground and the other foot kind of far out here like that. You're just going to lunge in, lean in just a little, just enough to where you get a stretch in the front of the hip and thigh, which does not take much. Make sure you don't lean forward. Keep your trunk upright. Don't arch in your lower back. Keep your back straight. Hold 20 seconds on one side and then 20 seconds on the other side. All right, let's go ahead and pause the video and you can try that out. All right, very good. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning is that just like your hip flexors, you want to be stretching your hamstring muscles every day. Just like those hip flexor muscles, when they get tight, the hamstring muscles can also stretch your lower back. So if you have any questions on how to stretch your hamstrings, in the interest of keeping it simple here today, I'm just going to say you can ask your trainer or your coach, or you can reach out to me and I'd be very happy to help you with that. But now I want to move on to some lifting technique. Now, when you go to lift something off the ground, or even when you just kind of lean forward, it's important to maintain a neutral spine. If you go to lift something and your back is rounded, you're going to damage your discs. Now, if you go to lift something and your back is hyperextended, you could damage the joints and even the bones themselves in some cases. Your back was not meant to round or arch with lifting. Your back was meant to maintain a stable, neutral position while the glutes and the quads do all the work. That's why they say lift with your legs and not with your back. Right, now, neutral spine position is the point that's exactly halfway between maximum rounding and maximum arching. So the way that looks is you put the back of your hand right in your lower back. Feel what it's like when you round forward as far as you can, then feel what it's like when you arch as far as you can, and you want to find that spot that's exactly halfway between those two extremes, and that's your neutral spine. Now, a great way to reinforce that with lifting activities is an exercise called hip hinge with neutral spine. And here is how that works. All right, so what you want to do is you want to get something like a broomstick or a mop handle, something long and light and thin, and you want to hold it such that you have 3 contact points that you're going to maintain. You got to keep the back of your head in contact with the pole, that point on your spine that's right between your shoulder blades and your tailbone. Those are your 3 contact points. Don't lose any of those contact points as you do the exercise. You gotta bend your knees just a little bit. You're gonna sit the glutes back and hinge at your hips and bring your trunk forward as far as you can without losing your contact points. As soon as you can't maintain those, you stop right there and you don't go any further. While you're doing this, you also want to draw in that abdominal hollow to draw in that core and support your spine and hold that neutral position. So let's go ahead and get a broomstick or a mop handle or something like that. Get your 3 contact points, draw in your abdominal hollow, sit your glutes back, hinge at the hips with bent knees for 10 repetitions. Please go ahead and pause the video and try that out. Okay, great. Now, strong glutes are important for a healthy lower back. One of my favorite exercises is the basic bridge. Let's go ahead and pull up a good image here. So when you're doing your bridge, you're going to lay on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You're just going to push through your feet. You're going to pick your hips up as high as you can, and you're going to squeeze your glutes on the way up, and then bring it back down. As you do this, you're going to draw in your multifidi muscles. These are some more of those deep core stabilizer muscles we've talked about that run right through here. So go ahead and lay on your back in the bridge position. Squeeze those glutes on the way up. Bring your hips up to this straight point here. Repeat 10 times. Please go ahead and pause the video and let's do that. Okay, great. Now, stability with rotation movements is crucial for most daily activities. Your internal oblique muscles help accomplish rotation, and they also provide that deep core stabilization that I was talking about. So one of my favorite ways that I like to do that and have my patients work on that is with the diagonal curl up. So here you just go ahead and lay on your back, put one hand behind your head, leave the elbow back, reach up and over to the opposite side with that top hand. Feel your obliques working as you bring that top shoulder up and over. Go ahead and 10 times on one side and then repeat 10 times on the other side. Let's go ahead and pause the video and give that a shot. Okay, great. So let's do a quick recap. So today we learned about how to recruit your transverse abdominis muscle with the abdominal hollow. And we also talked about the hip hinge exercise with neutral spine Now, these are two fundamental components of deep core stabilization that will keep excess strain off your lower back so that you don't damage your discs or your joints. We also talked about the importance of stretching your hip flexors and your hamstrings to protect your lower back. And we also did some bridging and some diagonal curl-ups. And I also snuck in a little side plank work for you for some additional, more advanced stabilization work. I do have a handout with everything pictured on it with instructions that we did today. If you would like a copy of that, please email me or text me. I'm going to put my contact information up here in just a second, or just a couple moments. If you have any questions, please reach out to me via text or email. I would love to speak with each and every one of you individually to talk about your specific circumstances and see if there's anything else see if there's anything that I can do to help you. So I will look forward to any questions, and thank you for your time.